Welcome back to a Podcast, episode 61. Happy New Year, everyone. It is 2023. Holy crap, it's a new year. I'm one of your hosts, Jason O, along with.
Griffin most.
And me, Soup, I guess. Yeah.
And we'll be today without Wyatt and Laurence. Wyatt had to take a rain check today, and I think Laurence is probably resting for the semester until he goes back to law school. So, that's it about that. So today, everyone, today's gonna be a pretty much an emergency last minute episode to actually wrap up this 2022 season for the Golden Gophers. So the Gophers played Syracuse for the Pinstripe Orange Bowl a couple days ago, and we had some thoughts, feelings, and some stuff to discuss post game because we had a lot to talk about after that game we saw. So guys, the Gophers won 28-20 against Syracuse, and there's a lot to get through, so I think we'll just start off. Then we should never ever play in a fucking baseball stadium for football. Like, holy crap.
Never, ever, ever.
Like, my God.
It's so bad. It's so dangerous for all the players. It's just not. I don't even understand the allure to it as like the baseball team. You know what I mean?
If I'm a player, and I was just like, if I'm a player and you have to constantly like think like, should I be changing cleats? Like, how should my spikes be? And then you're running down the field and you're running from center field across like the infield and you're like, wow, this like ground feels really weird under me. Like, that's not good.
Yeah, especially when you hear like the cartoon sound effects start to like play in the background of like the slipping.
Yep.
Yeah, it was so bad. I think the one, like, particularly the part where they put grass over the center field, like where it's usually that brown. I'm not sure what you call it in baseball. Like, I'm not a baseball person, but like that as part of the diamond, like that usually sandy dust powder. They put the grass over that. So then this like the between the 240s where the Pinstripe Bowl logo is, the grass is literally flying off all in chunks all over the place from everyone's cleats. Like it looked terrible. Both the Gophers and Syracuse were slipping. Like, for example, like there are moments where like, I think Lemecki for example, caught a ball. He could have like got extra yak off that, but he slips, when he lands on the field. Or stuff like that, or rushing on the rushing side as well. Quarterback slipping when they get the snap out of the shotgun. Like, it was not good. And
especially at the end of the game, with like the consistency of slips or the high frequency of slipping on both sides, you're just like, yeah, these players like are kind of don't care anymore, and they're just ready to get off the field more than anything.
Yeah, it's just tough to play like your best ball in that kind of environment too. Like, it's not really much you can do.
And mind you as well, I do want to note this. We also played in a baseball stadium last year against West Virginia for the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. And I did make this point in our group chat during the game. Like, that field was also bad, but like they also left the roof open with rain coming in. Like,
yeah, like that one was like totally like self-inflicted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one was they thought this field was fine. You know what I mean? Like, and can you imagine being Bad Boy Mowers? Like, you're a lawn mowing company, right? Like, you're like a landscaping company. Wouldn't you want the field of your bowl game to be a little better than this? I don't know.
And then we're in like a day and age where there's football stadiums everywhere, every city that they play in. Yet they decide, let's keep putting them in baseball stadiums. It's like, we have MetLife Stadium across the river. Just go to East Rutherford. It's fine. Oh, you're in Arizona. Just play the game in Phoenix at State Farm Stadium. Like, I just don't get what is so hard. I just don't.
I'll tell you right now, Griff, it's they don't want to pay the premium.
pay it. And it's all for student athletes, right?
Something student athletes, something.
Money.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
But
Also, can we I know we're gonna get into the announcers here, folks. Don't worry, but can we stop like the shaming of kids who either sit out their bowl games or transfer? Can we stop doing this
oh
on
yeah.
national TV? Because you are a grown adult, first of all. Like, number one, you're an adult. These are kids. And a lot of these kids are like securing a lifelong dream for themselves by not playing in this game. They're making sure they're going to be healthy for their like combine process and get good money in the NFL. And nobody should ever be mad at anybody for that, you know?
Yeah, they kept mentioning John Michael Schmidt's JMS that he opted out, and we had Nathan Bosa. And I was like, yeah, we'll have I for sure expected Klein to play because like again JMS is an All-American center, and one of the best centers in school history, and at least in most recent memory. So like. It makes sense that he wants to opt out and pursue the NFL stuff because he's trying to raise up his stock, but like damn, like tone it down. And then the announcers did the same thing with the Syracuse sideline because some of their players opted out too. So like it was like this talking about the ops, I'm like, just focus on the game.
Yeah, and they spent like the entire first part of the coverage was like them talking about like transfers and stuff for Syracuse too. And it's just like you work for a TV network. You can go work for a different TV network anytime you want. Like, why are you shaming these kids for trying to better themselves in their situation to pursue pro football? Like, stop it.
All the time they spent shaming, they could have spent researching how to properly say each of these players' names.
Or like talking about the actual game going on in front of them instead of this like weird politicky like, oh, loyalty. There's no loyalty anymore. And now it's about money and the NFL. It's like it's always been about money in the NFL. Now it's just out in the open. Okay, stop.
Yeah, but
It's
it's a good segue, Griff. I do want to talk about the names. I kept a list of names that they screwed up. So they mistaken Lemecki Brockington for
what they
Daniel
say
Jackson.
What'd they say for Lemecki? I think I missed that one.
They call him Daniel Jackson when he made like those first down plays in the first
They
half.
just swapped the okay.
Yeah, they swapped names.
Well, the number 9 and the number 0 look very similar.
Yeah, whatever that is. Let's see what else here.
Wasn't there Dalen Wright and Daniel Jackson?
Yeah, he had a couple of those too.
They even pronounced Coleman Bryson's name wrong, like a little bit too when he made the INT. I don't know if that was just me, but like
yeah,
god damn, like can you guys like not? I think if I remember correctly, like I remember when Pat McAfee did call like the Packers Detroit game years ago. Like each network, so Fox, CBS, ESPN, and them always has like the and including like the Gophers and Syracuse each gave their like pronunciation thing to the networks before the game, and it didn't even bother to read that correctly as well. Like, dang, I can't find my list, but like it was atrocious how they were saying the wrong. It was like that game when was it Brevin Spanford game?
Spanford.
Yeah, like it was.
Don't forget Mariano Sori Martin.
Yes.
Yeah. Or I think
whose name was literally just on the screen for the food bit that they did of him, which I thought was cool. They literally were just putting his name on the screen, and then he makes a play, and they're like, Mariano Sori Martin. I'm like, are you serious, you guys? Like, he's right there.
And then I think we were also joking on our group chat during the game because of the announcing was just so bad. Like this, can we just get other announcers that we know has like called the Gophers before and don't actually make that fuck up?
What would be really funny is if you used it as a time as ESPN to like do some goodwill, quote unquote, and like highlight some local people. You know what I mean? Like have like someone from like a local broadcast, like from Syracuse and Minnesota, like meet up in the booth and do the game together. You know, like that would be super fun, and you'd have two people who know both teams pretty well, and it would. I think it'd be cool.
like our Mike Grimm and like whoever is their version of Mike Grimm on the
And
call.
if you're ESPN, it's a great way to scout talent. Instead of just
True.
hiring people who have been doing it for 20, 30 years, or hiring people whose dads did it for 20, 30 years, Collinsworth. um, or, just like actually giving people a chance who have like, worked on sports broadcasting for a really long time. Because there's too many sports broadcasters right now who do not do their homework, who do not care, and there's no repercussions. And it's really makes games hard to watch.
Makes me miss John Madden even more. But I digress. But yeah, the analysis were terrible. Field conditions were terrible. Point number 3, Griffin, and you, Soup as well. You two mentioned this. My God, is it Scott Fisher? No, what's the referee?
Scott Campbell.
Scott Campbell and that Big 12 officiating crew was, by golly, terrible
Well, I mean,
as well.
by Big 12 standards, it was a good game because there's no holding in the Big 12 on offensive linemen. You just let people do whatever they want.
I do want to mention that, like, I think they held our guys, but we also held their guys in the
Yeah,
game,
they're not
and they
gonna
never
call
called
it.
it. Yeah,
I'm not gonna call it.
I think the calls that they did make, like, obviously, I'm trying to remember. So, actually, what they didn't call, so they were actually pretty reserved on throwing flags on PIs, so pass interferences. Like, there were moments where, like, I thought,
Which is fine.
yeah, which, like, maybe Wally, Nubin, or Coleman Bryson, like, are younger guys who doesn't have much experience. Or so Darius Green, number 12, Coleman Bryson at number 16. They got cooked a lot this game as well. And they didn't get called for PIs on some of those, which is surprising. Same with on Syracuse's side when they're against Daniel, Lemecki, Dalen, or Brevin. So very reserved on that, which I'm okay with. But I think,
Especially because it was consistent both ways, right?
correct.
Yep.
But I think the play that I know, Soup, you're still, like, you were very mad about this during our group chat, and we watched it prior to this. So in the second half, so, like, was it 30 some seconds left in the second half, or the first half in the second quarter? So they had that reviewed play where they completed it to the sideline. That was good, like, right, like, we didn't see any indisputable evidence. But then the next play where they made, like, what, 5 yards, 6 yards at the 34-second mark, looked incomplete, and they didn't re-show it again. Like, they ran up to the line so then they can make the next play, which,
Because they had no timeout, so he landed in bounds.
and that would negate the review, right? Like, they're trying to beat the officials from making that decision.
I think that's more of like them trying to get the play off because they had like 40 yards to go and 30 seconds left still, and their guy landed in bounds with no timeout. So I don't think that was them like getting cheeky and like being like, oh, I don't think I caught that. And even if it was, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put pressure on the officials to make those calls. What I would have loved to see is I thought PJ did a really good job in the first half with not just like burning his timeouts for no reason like he likes to. That last drive when Syracuse is like really kind of gashing you down the field, I would have liked to have seen a timeout there. I mean, because it's like they're finally getting some momentum that they haven't had all game. You're giving up these chunk plays. It's like, yeah, I understand you don't want to stop the clock for them, but like you also don't want to give up 15 yards of play. Like it's like you can't just let them walk down the field either. And I would have loved to see a timeout. Let's gather ourselves. All right, guys, like we have to, like, you got to be better in your disciplines. Like, yeah, we're playing no doubles, but you guys have to come up and tackle, stuff like that. So I don't know. I would have loved to have seen a timeout in that last like minute, just to kind of like steady on kind of everybody. Because at that point, it's like if they score, they're going to score anyway. At that point, once they're across the 50, you might as well like let your guys get a breather. And then you yell at the officials and say, hey, please look at this play. I know you just reviewed one that looked just like it. This throw looked a little low too. Can we get a look at that one too? Like, and then you're slowing the game down in general, and I think that benefits you. But whatever.
Did anyone ever get a review of that unsportsmanlike at the end of the game? That
on Syracuse's number 5 or something like that.
No, I never saw that one again. No, I've never. I cannot find it.
I was looking for that because I'm like, did he like step over him? Did he say something?
So
like,
I rewatched the whole game because it's saved to my YouTube TV DVR, and I'm like, I saw nothing I didn't hear anything audio. Obviously, we hear PJ yelling here and there in the
Yeah, the whole
broadcast.
second half you can
Yeah,
hear
but
him.
then but you don't hear or see what number 5 did to get the unsportsmanlike penalty. Even the ACC fans, like when they posted the the 9-10 minute like summary of the game, like the highlights of the game on the
Sure.
ACC network, and the ACC fans were like, "The fuck? What was the penalty for?" Like, and
He had to have said something to the ref, right? Like
yeah,
that's the only thing. He had to have said something to the official, right? Because like I'm with you. Like I didn't see anything on it either. It felt very weird.
yeah, and I do want to mention another one. I'm not sure if it's like more towards officiating, but when they reviewed, so remember when Garrett Schrader fumbled the ball, Mariano picked it up and ran it on the sideline, and then got horse collared. Obviously, that was a flag. We all knew that. Like the guy had two hands to yank Mariano down to the ground. Like we knew that was gonna be a flag, but then we didn't know that there was actually another flag on the field for, was it 12 men on the field for
Yeah.
defense? Was that always reviewable? Because I was confused. I'm like, wait, that's a reviewable offense.
Yeah. So the
Post.
thing is it is always review. It is a reviewable one, but it's not one that officials usually miss because you're supposed to count the players before every snap.
Literally, that's the back judge's job.
Yeah, that's the back judge's job. Like that's part of your job. Every play is you count the players on each side.
Yeah.
So it's reviewable in the sense that they can review it and get that right, which they did. But how do you miss that one?
And I think it was especially reviewable because they threw the flag right away. But what also bothers me is they acted like they were just going to pick it up after Mariano went down the field because they're
You're
like,
supposed to blow the play dead, or at least let the right. Isn't 12 men like a dead ball foul? I thought because it's not like offsides where you get a free play. Or
No,
is it?
no, it's not. At least from what I was aware of, it's like is a dead play if there's 12
I
men on the
think
field when the
it's.
ball snaps.
I think it's like offsides actually.
Oh, is it?
but
Okay.
even
Yeah.
then I was kind of confused because they're acted like there was no other flag, and then they came back, and then they're like, oh, now we're reviewing for 12 men. I was like, well, that's why you threw the
Because
flag
that
in the
they
first place.
never announced that. They didn't announce
Yeah.
that flag. They announced the like block in the back or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so sloppy.
But yeah,
Just like that's going to happen anytime you let defenders finally get a shot at some of these offensive players. Like, okay.
yeah. But I think those are the only three key items. So again, the horrible field conditions we talked about, the broadcasting crew for this game, and then the officiating. Is there anything else that was a sour note overall in the game before we get to like the bad parts of what happened in the game for the Gopher side?
I don't know if I have any more sour grapes. I don't. I thought it was outside of like the operational aspects of the game, pretty good.
Oh, you, Griff?
I think that's about it. We kind of covered defense
Yeah.
and how they're giving up chunk plays, but at the same time, they were ready to respond with either an INT or different play. So, I mean, anytime they had momentum going against them, they found a way to get it back.
And Jaw Joyner probably has like 5 or 6 sacks if they call holding like once.
Well, I was kind of amazed when they were like mentioning on the broadcast that they said, Jaw Joyner had like 4 QB pressures or hurries or hits or something like that, and that's like team leading this year. And I just like put like a big face palm like on my head, and I'm like, you shouldn't have said team best after 4 QB like pressures. But
Yeah.
sour grape defensive line, I guess. There you go.
Sure.
But I do want to get into the game here. So before we go into the scoring drives and how things went, I do want to mention Cody Lindenberg, linebacker, and then our quarterback, Ethan Kalikmanis, are okay. From what we were made aware of, PJ said in his post-game press conference, he is only expecting to be out for a few weeks. nothing major, but also not minor. So like not major, like I will say that on the group chats, we're all like, oh no, like we're expecting like torn ACLs, MCLs, meniscus, or anything soft tendon in the knees or ankles this game. But I'm glad that they're okay and that we'll be seeing them next season as well. So glad that is not too bad. I think we can blame a little bit on the field conditions and just situation in the game that led to those um, mishaps per se. But yeah, happy that they're okay. But it was very hard to watch during this game when they got hurt and other players too. But yeah, going on from there. So boys, um, our offense on the second half. So the first half they did pretty well. Like Ethan led on some pretty good drives. And then when Tanner stepped in for his current call, did okay as well in the first half. With going up 14-0 before Syracuse scores right before the half. But overall, we only had 138 yards 138 yards passing, about 70 yards. I think 77 yards on rushing, versus Syracuse's 330 passing and 147 rushing. Like if you look at the stats like this on paper, you would think Syracuse would have won this game with those stats, but they didn't. So we can nitpick the offense now. So I'll let you guys take the lead on what to nitpick at for the offense.
After you, buddy. Go ahead, Griff. I gotta get some water.
On offense, when Daniel Jackson scored his second touchdown, and they had the tunnel screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did that bring anyone back to Penn State game, or is that just me?
Great memories.
Yeah, with Crab with the tunnel screen as well.
Like once I saw Daniel Jackson coming back towards the quarterback and catch the ball, I'm like, oh, I love this. You throw it in once per game, and Syracuse was not ready for it. But also they just had bad tackling on that play as well. But that is what I liked out of that. I loved seeing Tanner come in and just throw an absolute dime to Daniel Jackson. Like, I think it's great that he got the opportunity to play. Obviously, I wish it was under better circumstances in terms of, your quarterback going down. But good send-off for him. And, I mean, what did the Gophers really have to do in this game? Because they could hand the ball off. They were just trying to get small chunk plays. They weren't trying to go, long ball and get huge chunks of yards. They played pretty conservatively for the most part, but they kept the playbook open. So I definitely like that. And next year, with Mo gone, there's going to be a serious fight for RB1, I think, because I just don't think Trey Potts is it. He's great as like a utility back and just kind of throwing him in there every once in a while, but he is not your main RB1.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more on a lot of that. Yeah, I don't think Potts is, unfortunately, really the future here, and I think they've got a lot of good, interesting young talent behind him too. That's unfortunately, I think going to kind of push him out a little bit. But other than that, I think you saw a very interesting game plan and design with Ethan when he was in. I think you saw them willing to, push the ball downfield a little more. You saw Ethan really drive the football down the field, which is not something Tanner does, which I think is part of the reason they don't do it as much with Tanner. They don't throw the deep out. They don't really throw the 15-yard dig a lot because Tanner can't really drive the ball like that. And, throwing lollipops over the middle of the field or outside the numbers like that, it's going to get you in trouble. So I think they really, had to scale back their plan once Ethan went down and kind of go back to the Gophers that we, I don't know about know and love, but see all the time. But I think just looking at the yardage totals, the time of possession, and like all of those stats that like PJ usually like loves and is like so adamant about, I think like it goes to show that the only things that really matter are explosive plays, right? You give up almost 500 total yards of offense and you still win by 18 points because you're the more explosive team. Both of your touchdowns on offense to Daniel Jackson are 20 plus yard plays. You have a 70-yard interception return, and then you've got your classic Mo punching it in early. But like this game, they won because of big plays down the field. And I mean, I don't know what else. Like if you're the coaching staff, like what else do you need to see moving forward? So
Yeah, and I do want to mention this is from Wyatt's notes. He really loved that special teams play that set up that Daniel Jackson touchdown pass to get put us up 7 points. I'm trying to remember here. So Quinn Renning fielded the ball like what our 1 or 2 yard line, throws the fake to Lemecki, keeps it, and runs down the field for like 60. I think was it 60 70 yards. Hang on, let me find that exact stat here. Um, yeah, 72 yards down the field to set us up in the Syracuse side of the field. And then we just pretty much got stopped on the first drive or the first down, and on second down, Daniel Jackson just runs it down the tunnel screen for the touchdown. Like positive special teams play. Like obviously, we know Mark Crawford will do Mark Crawford things as punter. Like he's not gonna like we know who he is as a punter, but just to finally see some positive special teams yards was really good. Like, can you please see more of that next year, please?
yeah, I mean, I think you saw that. Redding's got some juice, which is nice.
And then also mention, I'm not sure why the Gopher Sports put the interception stuff as special teams statistics, but also Coleman Bryson, number 16, true freshman defensive back, also had the interception and brought it back 70 yards with that tutty as well. So like, um,
Big plays.
yeah, big plays, amazing plays as well. I think
Right,
pretty
take
much
those plays. Take those plays. Those are two big plays, like touchdown
yeah,
creating plays, right?
yeah, we
That's
do.
what 140 yards of extra offense, and now you're back in that 350 kind of area where they kind of always are. There you
Hmm.
go.
Yeah, so it was amazing work by I think pretty much like all three phases. Even though yes, offense got stunted pretty much the second half, but defense and special teams came through as well. I think in the past we never had the game where all three came in. I think maybe the non-conference slates when all three phases of the game work, but like this is a game that I thought worked, especially in a bowl game where like Syracuse was tearing us up. So
Yeah, again, I think this is a total blowout if Ethan plays the whole game. I think their passing game becomes severely limited once Tanner comes in, just because of what they want to do with the talent they have and what Tanner can do as a thrower. So I think the like second half game plan just became, okay, let's not make the catastrophic mistake to let them back in this game.
yeah,
You could
for
also
sure.
add Mo, and you could add Mo in there too if Mo
Yep.
played all 4 quarters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He probably just ends up like eating the rest of the way, ends up with like, 200 yards or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you saw him with like 70 some yards, and you saw those runs that he was making. Like, they're gonna wear him down. He already took people's helmets off. That's just Mo. It's just Mo behavior.
For sure. And now since we're on Mo, we have to talk about number 24, guys. Like
Retire it.
retire
Just hang it
number
up.
24 at Huntington Bank Stadium, please. Let's see what so he broke a bunch of records during the bowl game. So he broke the all-time rushing yards record, all-time touchdowns record in a single season. And what else? Was there any more that I missed?
Yeah, I got it here somewhere. It was. Where's my list? Because I quote tweeted somebody who's like a Gopher alum, like Gold Club head, who I was talking to for a while on Twitter about like they were like, oh, we shouldn't retire his number because He's not, whatever dumb reason. So it is career rushing yards, career touchdowns, single season rushing yards, single game touchdowns, and single season touchdowns.
Like, damn. Like, Mo in his 6 years here, including the year where he tore his Achilles in the first game last year, like a talented back, played a lot of heart and passion at that position as well. And even staying, even though he could have gone ahead and pursued new opportunities like the NFL. And I'll be honest, like Griffin said it, like and you too, Soup. Once Mo leaves, like the standards of being a Minnesota running back is going to be high of what he left behind. So I'm sad to see him go, but what an amazing game in that first half where he just broke more records. And I can see why he didn't play the second half, because he's done quite enough for Minnesota football, and it was good to see him and Tanner in the victory formation post at the end of the game as well. So I gotta leave it at that. But any other thoughts on Mo Ibrahim leaving as the best running back in Minnesota history?
That man's got nothing left to prove, and some team is going to be very grateful that they picked him on Sundays.
Yeah, thanks for everything, Mo. Can't wait to see number 24 in the rafters. That's basically it,
For sure. But other than that, you guys have anything else regarding this game? I'm good.
Maybe someone else agrees, maybe they don't, but kind of the end of the game when they had like the 1st and 10 and they were just trying to run the clock out. Obviously, they're just going to run the ball to keep the clock running. But it was like 3rd and 2 and they didn't convert or whatever. And I was kind of thinking, like, was there a chance we're going to blow this up? Like, I think after the play clock would have went down, they would have had like 20 seconds to like punt or something like that. But
you're talking about at the end of the game, right? When we had our the possession before they tried to march down the red zone from Syracuse,
No, I'm talking with like a minute left. Or there was like 2 minutes left,
yep.
And then we ran like 3 plays.
Yeah, so it was Trey Potts, and Potts ran in.
Yeah,
got a good
Potts got to like he got like to 2nd and 4, and then 3rd and 2, and then he got stuffed at the line of scrimmage or something.
I think Tanner did. I'm not sure if that was that play, but yeah. So we were stopped on 4th and 2. PJ took the timeout to try. They let the clock eat for the play clock. Took the timeout,
right.
And I think Syracuse still had like a minute left on the game clock to march back down. And
is this the end of the first half?
No, and the second half.
No,
so
end of the game.
Last 2 minutes of the game.
This is basically
yeah, they would have had time, plenty of time.
Yeah.
Here,
like I felt like the way our defense was playing at some points of the game that they were just going to give up a bunch of chunk yards. But obviously, thank you, Clark, for your unsportsmanlike, whatever.
There were 40 seconds left when they called the unsportsmanlike.
40? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time for Garrett Schrader.
Yeah. It was enough in the first half. Jeez.
It certainly was.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like it was. Soup mentioned it. Like there are moments, like some of the those plays like that were like, can we not just do that?
Yeah, can we just finish this one out, guys, please?
But I will say though, Griffin's prediction was pretty close. Griffin, you predicted 27-20. The game was 28-20. So
I think I had a couple this year that were very close. I think the one
2 or 3 that have been almost within like 2 or 3 points.
And my worst one was the Purdue game.
It was. But I do want to mention actually, so with overall record wise, Griffin, you and I and Wyatt are tied at 9-4. Like from
just
our
like
preseason prediction, just like the Gopher record. And then Soup, Soup missed some episodes. It says he's at 7-1, so he is technically at the best record. We did do percentages wise. But sorry, Soup, there's no prize for it. We're just random preseason stuff. So
hey, the prize is enough just knowing.
Yeah. How many games did Soup get in?
He was 7-1 out of the 8 games. he
Sorry,
predicted
Soup.
for.
Minimum nine games.
Minimum 9 games for eligibility.
But I do actually want to mention
I got an
besides
extra season now on my eligibility for next year.
Yep, send that waiver over, and we'll take forever to approve it.
But actually, I do want to mention. So actually, this is also in the like in terms of like, I think was it back from like the early 1900s. This is the first time since then where the Gophers has won more than 9 games within a 5-game stretch. So like the 2019 11 and was it no 11-2 season.
Mhm.
Obviously, COVID's a wash. Like we all expected that, and then we won. We won 9 games last year, including the bowl game, and won 9 games this year with said bowl game as well. So I think that's just the expectation moving forward, guys. I think we talked about before, where the expectation is like this team we know can win 9+ games a year. Like
Which
that
is wild.
Yeah, like that's the standard moving forward. And I have high hopes. Like I know like we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I have high hopes for next year. Like we have a very talented quarterback coming back in Ethan. Like
Mhm.
he can sling it, and they can do things on offense that we couldn't do with Tanner, which
And you
is
saw flashes from both young receivers. You saw
yeah.
9, you saw 0, you saw 5, all make plays.
And then
And
also
just
Crab,
quality reps overall.
yeah.
Yep.
And then we also have Crab coming back as well. So like we have a very loaded receiver room.
And 2 transfers that should contribute right away
Correct.
too. So all of a sudden you're 5 deep at receiver.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously on the tight end room, Brevin is returning as well. And then I do know we haven't talked about this guy much as well, but Nick Calrup, 87, also has been coming more of like a Keeft kind of tight end, like blocking tight end for the offense as well, but also can be there to catch balls as needed. So very excited what this offense to bring. The only thing I'm worried about, if we're looking to next year, guys, I think it's going to be the offensive line, because JMS is gone. Then who else? Let's see. I think only guys returning, I think from what I read on the list here, is Ariante Ursary, and then let's see, and Quinn Carroll, Chuck Filiaga, Axel Rushmeyer, and obviously JMS are like the bulk of our starting offensive center.
Yeah, that's going to be
interior is
interesting.
gone. I think Nathan Bowe might be graduating too.
I think so.
So our interior offensive lines go be very new. Obviously Ariante has been doing pretty well. I think Quinn is, I don't know, we'll see what happens. But like maybe he needs another year to like double down, kind of like Sam Schluter in the past. I remember Laraz and I shat on him the year he started on the offensive line when he first started, and then the next year he got better. So we'll see what happens with the offensive line, but I hope Brian Callahan can get those guys up and ready for next year, because I think that's my only concern with the offense is the O line for next year.
Yeah, we're getting Brev back too, so that'll be nice. Yeah, I think the really only question mark is the line. I think you have, like you said, known quantity is basically everywhere else at some percent. So that's good. But we should talk a little defense, because I thought regardless of like tricky field surface, tricky game situations for them, I think they played well.
Yeah, I do want to mention one. Like I mentioned him earlier, Cody Lindenberg. My God, like he was all over the field. Like he reminds me of in terms of NFL guys, like what was it? So Eric Kendricks from the Vikings, but then I think who's the Cowboys linebacker, Van Der Esch as
Leighton,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, Leighton Van Der Esch. Like Cody flew around that field until he got hurt.
He has great instincts.
Like he
was really good instincts.
Like all over the place. I know you said it, Soup. Like I love MSM, Mariano Story Marin, but like obviously Mariano isn't the guy to like instinctively, like he's smart.
He's not the sideline to sideline athlete that Cody Lindenberg is.
Yeah.
And it is very evident when they play right next to each other. It's like, oh, one of these guys is like much more athletic than the other one.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I do want to mention Cody. Like I just love how he played
I mean, I
going
thought he had a
across the
really
field.
good game too. Like until he got hurt, he was having himself a day. He had
11 total
he still
tackles.
led the team in tackles. He had 9 solo tackles. That's nuts. So
Our linebackers pretty much ran that defense.
yeah, that's what you want to see, right? You want to
Mhm.
see that's the guys you'd like to see leading tackles instead of when it's usually Jordan Howden uh and Tyler Newman. That's not as good. So
No, but I think part of that too was Syracuse's offense because you saw a lot of
yeah,
like them throwing it out to the side, and then you
very
have
quick.
the DBs trying to close in because
Mm-hmm.
they tried to use their speed on the outside. But but yes, still nice to see linebackers.
Yeah. I'll say welcome to Gopher football, Darius Green and Coleman Bryson. Though I thought they
Darius
both were
Green.
really good games.
Darius Green is someone I'm really excited for after watching this game.
Yeah, the Hill slot right into the old Flip Dixon spot there. I think kind of playing the hybrid nickel safety,
Hmm.
and I love it. I mean that fourth down stop he had where he diagnoses the play immediately, sticks his foot in the ground, and just fires off the ball. Like that is just delicious, delicious tape that you like to eat up, and that's just I mean that was awesome. And he was all over the place. He was flying around, and obviously we know about Bryson's pick six.
Yeah. And I do want to mention too. So Jordan Howden, Soup, you shared this from Twitter. Jordan Howden is not using his remaining year of eligibility for the Gophers. He is going to pursue his dreams in the NFL. So if you're looking at the defensive backroom guys coming back next year, so Tyler Nubin, who had unfortunately was out with his hand injury during the last couple games of the season. Justin Wally's coming back. Darius Green, who we saw flying around this field against Syracuse. Coleman Bryson as well, especially being a
Mm-hmm.
true freshman as
Yep.
well. And then
I think part of the reason Howden decides to go to the NFL is that Newman comes back, right? Which is
yeah,
unfortunate because you love to see Newman come back. Newman probably doesn't come back if he breaks his wrist, if I'm being honest. If he doesn't bust his wrist, I think he goes to the NFL. But I think because he's not going to be 100% for the combine process, I don't know if there's a point, you know?
mm-hmm.
So I think Howden unfortunately sees that Newman's going to be the better player again for a year. So why hide behind him again? Just go to the league. Obviously, somebody told him that somebody's looking at him. So, I mean, he'll get a shot. He's a very solid player. Somebody will take a flyer. So, it's just interesting to think there. And then next to him, you'll probably have one of Coleman Bryson or Darius Green, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then we have to touch the D line. So I know um so for the fans, so again we're all in a Snapchat group just to talk about the game. And the one thing I think, Soup, you noted this, the amount of blitzes Joe Rossi dialed up this game. But I know we harped on in the past in the during this past season was like we're not getting through with four guys currently.
No.
And then these safety linebacker blitzes um put pressure on Garrett Schaefer and that Syracuse offense. Like he was not comfortable in that pocket during the game. So I was
Mm-hmm.
happy to see that, but also Jaw Joyner, when he's on the field, he's a freak. Like that offensive line had to like double him up just to make sure he doesn't get close, or they had to hold him.
Yeah.
He doesn't get in
Jaw's
there.
scary. He's scary.
Yeah, and then obviously what else from the defensive side of the ball? Um, I do want to say Trill Carter, and then Jalen Logan Redding also has some good highlights as well from this game. I think with the younger guys stepping in, I think we should really be excited to what's to come on the D line. Like, yes, I think it's still work in progress, but I think if Joe Raja can just dial up those more blitzes and like help out the D line to get pressure, I think
Mm-hmm.
our defense can be set and be very
I think it
volatile
was
again.
interesting that you saw such a schematic change from Rossi with the amount of blitzes that were coming. I think that's very significant. I think it speaks to him understanding his personnel as well as understanding what um, Syracuse wanted to do. And I think that that just goes, I mean, again, it's just, we're just talking about how Joe Rossi's a good coach, and that's been well established. But I know a lot of people get on him throughout the season because they don't think he plays with enough pressure. But I think, I think he expects more from his front four, and I think Ja's really the only one giving you any kind of consistency up there right now. And he decided against a quick passing game to kind of send some pressure because, hey, the ball's coming out fast anyway. We might as well try and get to the QB. So I liked
Yeah,
it.
yeah, like Darius Green coming off the DB blitz. Uh, I mean, he broke off the line so fast, and they didn't even cover him. You have, like you said, Ja. Like Ja's the guy that he can go sideline to sideline when the QB gets flushed out of the pocket. Like you saw him several times, like running to the sideline because he couldn't catch up to some of these people. Like as you mentioned, understanding your players. Like if you can't penetrate through the line, then you're gonna have to use your players to tackle them other ways, and that's getting them out of the pocket.
All right. Anything else from the defensive side of the ball? No. I think last piece, I do want to touch on special teams as well. So Matt Trickett will be leaving, I believe. He is a senior. So he will not be returning. So I am also obviously Quinton Redding is returning as our returner on kickoff and punting.
See ya, Mark Crawford. Bye-bye.
Yeah, can we please say goodbye to Mark Crawford?
I said goodbye to him like, I don't know, 6-7 games ago.
Yeah, but I'm very curious how we turn up on the kicker side because I will say in the PJ Fleck era, we have not had a good run in terms of kickers. Like besides Emmett Carpenter, who we retained post Tracy Clay's Jerry Kill, and then Matt for the last couple years here. During that time between Mitt and Matt has not been good. Like, was it Brock Walker and like some other dude? I forgot his name in the kicking competition.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I hope PJ figures out the kicking side of it. If not, I'm still all for firing Rob. I don't care if he dialed up the fakes on special teams. Like, you should be doing that all year, not in the bowl game of all things. Like, I want special teams to be good. Like, yes, they showed great flashes this past game, but I need more.
Yeah, I agree. And to touch on what you're saying earlier about like 9-win seasons with the Gophers, the only Power 5 teams with 9 or more wins in each of the last 3 full seasons, so this does not include the COVID season. The only teams in Power 5 football with 9 wins over the last 3 full seasons: Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, Utah, Oregon, Georgia, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Minnesota.
That's some
Great company.
That's some great company there.
Yeah, for all the people who, get pissed about missing out on the Big Ten West title and stuff this year, just the floor of the program has been raised, and that is a hard thing to do, and it is a good place to be, and let's enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great. We won the bowl game. We are now Pinstripe Bowl champions. Great wrap to the 2022 season.
6 straight bowl game wins.
Yeah, so that's awesome. But that, gentlemen, let's wrap this up. Everyone, please have a very happy and safe new year. Enjoy 2023. We'll see you guys again to preview the Golden Gophers football schedule for the 2023 fall season for football here. But other than that, please have a great time of year. We'll see you again soon. And yeah, so I'm with Griffin. Say bye, Griffin.
Goodbye, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Soup.
It has been a ride. I'm petitioning the OPA podcast committee, though, to change eligibility to 8 games.
And I'm Jason L. And wish you a great year. Happy New Year. And have a great 2023. And we see you guys again soon. So bye. And
Oh.